I'm Johnny Phantom, and I talk about all things fandom. If you're new here, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell so you don't miss another video because I post a video 3 times a week. Without further ado, let's get into today's video and discuss why Scooby-Doo can talk. Like, have you ever wondered why Scooby can talk? I mean, I know my dogs talk to me all the time. You know, they don't make any actual words. It's more kind of like, rah, 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 rah. That was an impression of my dog. Either way, animals don't talk. But Scooby can talk. He can have full sentences. He's basically almost an anthropomorphic dog, like Goofy, just not fully. He's like in between Goofy and Pluto. And that's just a whole nother mess. You know, why is Pluto a dog and Goofy's also a dog? Goofy's not a cow, by the way. He's a dog. But why can Goofy walk and talk and Pluto act like a dog? I actually have a whole video explaining it. Go check it out. Go find it on my channel somewhere. If I remember, I'll put the link here. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. So Scooby's been talking for years. He first came out, I mean, in fact, the first Scooby-Doo cartoon came out September 13th, 1969. So yeah, but how can he talk? I mean, there's plenty of theories out there. There's theories that Shaggy is the extreme pothead and he just thinks Scooby's talking because of how high he is all the time. There's theories out there that the whole Mystery Inc. Incorporated dead and Scooby's like their guardian angel, and a whole bunch of theories out there on how this actually works. I'm not getting into that. I'm going to get into how Scooby actually can talk. If this was a real thing, you know, Mystery Incorporated actually goes on adventures, and they've been going on these adventures throughout these years, catching ghosts and monsters and everything else. Most of the time, just a guy behind a mask doesn't want anybody to find their treasure in their mansion. Yeah. So, Scooby-Doo can talk, but why? Well, we kind of get an answer in Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, which was a show made in 2010. There was 2 seasons of it, and it had a long-running storyline throughout this whole series about the Anunnaki. Throughout this whole story, he's an Anunnaki. Hanna-Barbera does it, along with what actual history is. Isn't really fully true, but we'll get into it. So, an Anunnaki is a god. Essentially, it is. So, Anunnaki is the Sumerian gods. Just like many other cultures have multiple gods, the Anunnaki is the term for the Sumerian gods. And we don't have a lot of information about them because of lost translation and lost history. But we do know that there are at least 4 Anunnakis. One represents the sun, one possibly represents the moon. So we have a whole list of these different Anunnaki god names from the Sumerian culture, but only 4 of them we actually are able to like really understand them. So we have Enel, which is the god of air, who separated heaven and earth. Then we also have Ea, but it's pronounced Enki. Whatever. We also have Uta. I'm reading off of this page here, but the way it's written is just bad. But basically, the ancient Hittites and Hurrians, whose mythologies refer to the set of a former god banished to the netherworld by the newer generation, eventually identified the former gods with the Anunnaki. So basically, the Anunnaki are the gods of Sumerians who banished the original gods. Very similar to Greek mythology, where Zeus Poseidon and all them banished their Zeus's father and stuff to Tartarus. Very similar. I mean, all these cultures, gods are very similar. You know, the Greek had their gods, the Egyptians had their gods, Aztec had their gods, and depending on the way the culture was, depends on the gods. You know, Greek, Norse, they all had human-like gods. And then you have the other cultures like the Egyptians or the Aztecs that had these animal-like gods, these animal-like beings. So according to what I found on this, the Anunnaki were humanoid-like gods. However, in Scooby-Doo, they made them more like Egyptian gods and kind of made it more or less off the Egyptian god culture, because we actually see like pictures of these Anunnaki gods that look like Anubis and things like that. So they did their own twist on it. They called it Anunnaki, but they didn't really follow the full Anunnaki god culture, which is fine. Totally cool with it. They did a very good job. So this whole storyline in Mystery Incorporated 2010 was basically saying that these Sumerian Anunnaki gods were coming to Earth and basically doing stuff. And they had to try to figure out, you know, what was going on. In Mystery Incorporated, the Anunnaki was a race of creatures from another dimension. Not even like, you know, and every 1,000 years during the event called Nibiru, a battle between the world and Earth grow weak, allowing the Anunnaki to visit Earth. So every 3,000 years, the Anunnaki come to Earth because, sorry, not the battle, the barrier between Earth realm and their dimension goes weak, so they can access Earth. Some of them come to Earth with good intentions to help humans. So basically, if you think of the Anunnaki almost as like this god dimension, you could potentially say that these Anunnaki, you know, especially this one that looks like Anubis, visited ancient Egypt back in the day, and you know, then they represented, you know, he was not a good god, so he kind of represented the god of death in a sense. But other gods came by to help them and help them build the pyramids. So they're not aliens necessarily, they're from an alternate dimension. And these creatures were very similar, so they visited Egypt, they visited the Aztec and the Mayans, and they all kind of portrayed them in the same fashion, just with different names and different ways of how they interacted with them. So all gods come from Anunnaki, and they all come from alternate dimension, according to Scooby-Doo. Let's get back into it. Okay, so yeah, some came across the barrier to help humans, while others were a little bit more evil. It was revealed that sarcophagus buried beneath Crystal Cove contains the most evil Anunnaki. So there's a sarcophagus buried under the Crystal Cove in the shell, and this reveals the most evil Anunnaki of all, the most evil god from this dimension. So the Anunnaki have no physical actual forms, so they have to inhabit various animals. So therefore they inhabit dogs, birds like Ra or Horus, Anubis, a jackal. They embody animals in that area. So the Anunnaki are going to represent a jackal because those are the type of dogs that ancient Egyptians had. They're going to possess birds that would be in that area. They're going to possess a crocodile, whatever it may be, whatever animal that they can get access to in that area, they represent, which is why the Aztec gods represent animals that they know of. Egyptian gods represent animals that they know of, so on and so forth. So like I said, this represents the physical creatures of the Egyptian gods, or Chinese monkey king even. So this being a couple thousand years ago came through the barrier, possessed the monkey, and became the monkey king god that the Chinese represented. So it just continues this, like, basically the show connects all this, the Aztecs, the Egyptians, the Chinese, all which are descendants of, they call it descendants of Anunnaki. So with that being said, the fact that these Anunnaki possess the bodies of animals, those animals that would continue a line, I guess, and reproduce. If you are in that bloodline, you are technically a descendant of Anunnaki, which Scooby is. It is mentioned that Scooby-Doo is a descendant of the Anunnaki. That is why he can talk, because he has more, doesn't have the full power of the Anunnaki, but he does have some of that power left behind, where he's a little more anthropomorphic and can talk. Not fully talk. He still has a little bit of his, bark in his talk, but we can talk and we can understand him. And he can eat a Subway sandwich like no tomorrow. And those who are descendants have a longer lifespan. So Scooby is going to live a lot longer than any other normal dog and have more intelligence than humans, it says. But I think it's all that pot him and Shaggy smoke that makes him a little less intelligent than he should be. But Scooby does have his smart moments. He does. He's a little bit of a scaredy cat sometimes, but he's pretty smart. Dogs are pretty smart in general. So, I mean, my dog would push up at the latch on the gate, while my other dog would grab the gate from the bottom and open it so they can escape to the front yard. Go figure. Anyway, if the Anunnaki were destroyed, its presence would be retroactively erased from history, with only the other Anunnaki and those close to them being the ones who remember the destroyed ones. So basically, if the Anunnaki were destroyed, Scooby would be one of the only people in Mr. Inc. who actually knows of their existence. Unless the Mr. Inc., them being with the Anunnaki, counts as being close to them, so maybe they would understand, but other people wouldn't. So in the show, we see Anunnaki possess Nova while she's in a coma, and she's able to talk to Scooby in her dreams. She tells him about the time of Nurabui and how their race helped humanity over the years. So basically, she's giving Scooby the history of the Anunnaki. So the Anunnaki's coming to Scooby in dreams and basically telling him, and they want Scooby to go find the sarcophagus in Crystal Cove and destroy it, because it's the most evil thing. I want to destroy it and get rid of the evil. And basically that's how the story goes. I'm not going to go deep into the story because that's not what this video is about. This video is about how Scooby can talk. So throughout all these years of watching Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo, where are you? The Scooby-Doo version where they're kids, which is not that great. The live-action movies, the original Scooby-Doo version where they hang out with the Harlem Globetrotters and the Addams Family. All these Scooby-Doos, if we put them all in one universe and they're all connected, let's not say, like, throughout years that this has been on. So, Fred is not, 50, 60 years old. No, let's say that each season, each show was maybe like a year or two. So like in between the shows, not much time has passed. So let's say hypothetically these are all part of one big universe timeline. Maybe I could do that. I mean, I did the duck first. Nope. Too much stuff going on. If these are all one specific timeline, all these Scoobies up to that point with the same Scooby and was able to talk because he was always a descendant of the Anunnaki or the Egyptian gods or whatever culture gods saw the Anunnaki and their presence. I kind of like how they incorporated this dimension world of Anunnaki. I'm not sure if I pronounced it the right way at all throughout this entire video. I like how they kind of represented it, say that this dimension world is what brought these gods over to possess animals and to create these other culture gods, so that all gods from all cultures are basically connected. It's kind of the idea. The history of the actual Anunnaki is very different from what they did it with. It's kind of interesting to learn kind of both, the truth and, fiction, but I do like the way Scooby-Doo presented this. So before you go, make sure you comment down below your thoughts on Scooby-Doo talking. Do you think it's all a pot? Or do you think it's beings from another alternate dimension being the great ancestors of Scooby himself? And while you're down there, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell so you miss another video, because I post a video 3 times a week. That is a lot of content. And while you're down there, go ahead and support me by checking my merch store. I got a ton of cool designs on there, ton of cool designs coming, and hit that join button, support me right here on YouTube, or go to my Patreon page and support me over there. Either way, every little bit is going to help, so I can continue making cool videos like this, where I talk about random fandoms that go through my head, and I think about a lot of stuff. Either way, I enjoy sharing my thoughts right here, and I hope you do too. I hope you do like to listen to me talk about random stuff. And comment down below and we'll have a conversation about it. I love talking and debating about different situations within the fandom realm of everything. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching. See you next time. Before you go, make sure you check out that video and that one right behind me.